Halachma anya. So this is the bread of affliction. It's the first time we kind of address the matzah directly. And even though I'm Ashkenazi through and through, I learned this minhag, this custom, from a friend of mine who has Moroccan descent. And since he introduced it to us, we do it at every Seder, and it's become a family favorite. So at the outset, there doesn't seem to be a strong connection between the ritual itself and the words, but I'll make an association later. So when you get to the part of the Haggadah that says Halachma anya, this is the bread of affliction, or depending on which version of the Haggadah you're using, Bivhilu yatzanu mimitzrayim, with a sense of haste and frenzy we left Egypt, what happens is the Seder leader picks up the Seder plate, right? So here's my Seder plate. It's empty right now. You have to excuse me because I couldn't get everything. I couldn't get the charoset on it this early. And picks it up and goes over to someone around the table. Doesn't think about it in advance and puts it over the person's head, holds the Seder plate over the head, and without anticipation or thinking about it too much, just says something to that person. The only thing that I know about this ritual is that you don't know what you're going to say until you actually say it. So I want to imagine that I'm at my Seder in a little bit over a week, and I pick up the Seder plate and I go over to my daughter, my eldest daughter, who's 18 years old. And again, I have not thought about this in advance, but I'm imagining the moment, and I would say, Noah, I was not expecting to share the Seder with you this year because I was hoping and expecting you to be in Israel as you completed your gap year, knowing you were going to be with Israeli family and having an amazing experience. So I'm so sad for the reasons that you're here in our home for Seder 2020, and yet so delighted to be able to share Seder with you for the 18th year in a row. I love you. And then you say, Bivhilu yatzanu mimitzrayim, halachma anya b'nei chorin. So it's a mashup of different parts of that section of the Magid. I'll do it again. Bivhilu yatzanu mimitzrayim, in haste we left Egypt. Halachma anya, this is the bread of affliction. B'nei chorin, and we are free. That's actually the whole ritual. It's simple but profound. And what we do at our Seder is that I start off by going around to a few people. Again, I promise you I don't think about it in advance. And I say something to them, a blessing, whatever comes to mind, something about them. And then we all sing. And then I do it to a few more people. And then people are clamoring to get the Seder plate. They want to take the Seder plate and hold it over someone else's head. And you can't imagine how beautiful it is when a grandchild holds it over a grandparent's head and says something that's probably been welling up inside of them for a long time, but they haven't been able to say it, or the reverse. So, once again, the tune, you say something to the person with a Seder plate over their head, and you sing, Bivhilu yatzanu mimitzrayim, halachma anya b'nei chorin. Now, for the connection, what's the connection between this ritual? The ritual was not, the content is not Pesach related. Just say something of meaning to someone as you're holding a Seder plate over their head. When you say the words, this is the bread of affliction and we are free. A couple years ago, we did this ritual for the first time. And after we did it, I asked people who experienced it to see if they could do a midrash. What is it about this moment in the Haggadah that makes it relevant for this ritual? And a friend of mine, a member of our community, said something beautiful. He said, Bivhilu yatzanu mimitzrayim. In haste, we left Egypt. When you're in haste, you only have time for the bare essentials. You're just in an emergency setting focused on getting the absolute core needs met. It is a luxurious thing to say something to someone that you care about slowly, deliberately, without feeling rushed. And so he said the connection between the ritual is we did leave Egypt in haste. We were enslaved people. When we were enslaved people, we couldn't just share sweet tidings with one another. We couldn't whisper things to another person just because we had the feeling to say it in that moment. We had to only be focused on the most immediate of needs. But now that we're free, and now that we're not rushed, and this part of the Seder could take 5 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour. It's taken an hour sometimes in my Seder. We can look at someone in the eyes, taking the symbol of this holiday and putting it over their heads and say something to them that only our hearts know we have been wanting to say for a long time. So I encourage you to do this at your Seder, and when you say it to each person, holding the Seder plate over at the head, you say it when you're done. Bivhilu yatzanu mitzrayim, halachma anya b'nei chorin. Chag kasher v'sameach.